language. That's what we'll talk about today. I have 15 seconds to slide, and we'll see how this goes. So let's start with saying, what is a feature? So features are inputs to models. So there's many things to be a feature. You can argue a prompt is a feature. You can argue an embedding is a type of feature. So there's this kind of, here's some examples. Like it could be a user's favorite song, could be a store stop selling item. These are features. These are the things that go into models. And a lot of our time as data scientists is actually spent coming up with better features to work on. And how that looks in practice, at least if you're like me, there's a lot of notebooks lying around in a lot of different places, some of them untitled. We are working with data sets all over, transforming them into, and playing around, kind of coming up with these different types of features. So what's a feature store, right? Well, if you think about it just very literally, right? It's a place where you'd store those features. So you transform the features and you'd build them and then you'd store them in the feature store. This is how Feast, Databricks, and a lot of the other solutions work. So a feature store, is this where I store my features? We don't think so. And so the way we think about it is that when I think of a feature as a data scientist, I don't really think of it as a row of data, like an output, like an artifact. Rather, I think of it as the pipeline itself. Like users' favorite song of the last 30 days is not an output, it's a pipeline. So defining the feature not as just like an output row, but rather treating it as a pipeline allows you to work with it in a way that's far more native. As you work and you iterate, if you treat the feature as a pipeline, it allows you to share them, reuse them, version them, manage them in a way that's much more natural than having to kind of switch between running Airflow jobs, transforming things, building them, storing them in a feature store, reading from there. The feature store, from my perspective, is actually a workflow tool. Because if you think of how people build features today, the hard part, the part that's really messy, is not where do I store this thing in the end and how do I centralize that? It's more how do I organize this messy ad hoc process? How do I make it so I can work with those things? And also one of the big problems that comes to us is like once I come up with a notebook that has a good feature, a good training set in it, how do I get it in prod? Right now, what I see a lot of companies do is they will actually take their notebook, pass it over the fence to another team. That other team is gonna go and re-implement that thing in a whole, sometimes in Java, in like literally a different language. And see, that guy knows. And then you like, the data eng team is like, what the hell is this awful notebook? And the data science team is like, who are these idiots who don't know what Levenstein similarity function is? So they end up in situations where the data scientist doesn't really own their own destiny. They're like forced to like yell at data eng to like, please build my features, and they can't use them. Even in situations or teams where we are able to get features in production today, there's a whole nother set of problems. And so I have more memes. I'm not meme GPT. I should have used that instead. So my feature's in production. You just have to run untitled 128 to IPy notebook, and then df final real actually gets copied in the feature table v7 in Snowflake if you call the copy feature to Redis shell function. Maybe this looks familiar too to a few of you. This is the problem that Featureform aims to solve. Not just productionizing features, but really being this framework. Like the name Featureform, I came up with it because I want Terraform for features. I want the framework to define, manage, and deploy features. SQL is great, PySpark's great, that wasn't the problem, right? And Spark is great, Databricks is great, Redis is great. Like it's not like I need a better Spark. What I needed was something that made all this stuff work together cleanly and provided some framework and workflow for monitoring, for versioning, for reuse, for deploying. And that's what I think a feature store is. That's what we built. We called it the virtual feature store. Now, funny enough, Gartner just came out and said, hey, actually feature stores shouldn't be a concept, it should be a logical feature store, which is literally the same thing that we call a virtual feature store. And yeah, we're open source. We have a booth here, we're kind of hard to miss. Please come by if you want to learn more. Thank you.